I'd like to welcome James and Lisa, who I can see are zooming in their presentation room. So they are from the University of Northampton. So we really have gone all around the country, really. We haven't got anyone from Scotland, but I think we've done quite well today. And they're going to be talking about Pathways, a journey into the centre of libraries, which sounds really intriguing and a good way to finish off, I think. So over to you two.
Thank you very much. So my name is Lisa Anderson. I'm the Library Service Manager at the University of Northampton, and this is James, and he is the Senior Customer Service Supervisor. And we're going to talk you through a project that we started some time ago. We're going to split it. We've got 4 slides. So we've got why we started the project, the concept of what we did, how we created it, and then we'll give you a bit of the detail. So we'll start with what we perceived the problem to be. So we are a medium-sized university, and we do have a significant minority of widening participation students. And as we manage a customer service team, we, in our own experience, came across a lot of students who would come to us and be very nervous about approaching the library. Students, they wanted the clear information, but did not feel like they had the confidence or the social capital to come and talk to us or ask us the questions that they really needed to have it answered. So we looked at the barriers that we might be putting in place that might be stopping that. And we were trying to think of some ways around those hidden barriers, those reasons why the students who really did need us maybe weren't coming to talk to us. So we were trying to fill that gap and find a way. So we started a chat service, which the students reacted to really well. And we obviously had all the traditional avenues as well. So we're a one campus institution, and our library is in a learning commons with all of the classrooms and things like that. So all of the library staff and stock and services are in the same building that the students are learning in, but we still found that there were students who were missing out on talking to us. So when we were going through the options that we had, we decided that whatever we were going to go for, we would want it to be low stakes, low risk for the student. We wanted it to be open access, so it wouldn't necessarily just be aimed at first-year students, for example. We do sometimes at the desk get maybe a third-year student come along who has not up until that point engaged with the library, so we didn't want to be excluding anyone from that. And we did have some experience in what some of those unasked questions were in. They came to us in the forms of problems that we would then solve. So we could kind of see where some of the gaps were that the students needed some help with. And we very much wanted to focus it on being complementary to what we already had. So we obviously have the services you'd expect, like the phone and the email, and we also had the chat and the desk. And we wanted it to fit very much with the other services that were inside the library. And it going through some of the basics in the most approachable, low stakes way possible. So I'm going to pass you over to James now, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about the concept behind what we ended up with.
Can I have the next slide? Thank you. So yeah, I'm going to talk through a bit about the concept, which really was demystifying libraries to new students and existing students as well. As Lisa said, we had a lot of experience with new and nervous students. We deal a lot with students in enrolment and welcome week, and a large part of our interaction with students there is just trying to sort of break the ice with them, make them understand they can come and ask us any questions, that we're here to help, to signpost to all our different services. But we still found that there were students who were just very anxious about approaching the desk or asking us questions. Even later in students' journey through university, second and third year students have never found a book on the shelves before, or have never borrowed a book using their library card. So, and they kind of have questions, and it's almost embarrassing to them having to come and ask, like, how do I do this? We wanted something that was not designed to discourage questions, but to increase engagement. So we wanted something that felt like it was sort of interactive and exciting, that people could work through, and was going to get them to ask and explore questions rather than feel like it was going to turn them away. Library engagement increases the chance of success for students. So we wanted something that would get students to engage with our services and feel like the barriers were removed. We wanted it to be quick to read. We wanted something digestible, easy to understand, and completely without judgment. So it would sort of start from very basic topics and work through sort of layering up information and understanding without sort of presuming any prior knowledge of libraries or our services at all. We wanted it to look interesting and vibrant, so we chose sort of interesting colours, and we wanted to have interesting pictures and bold pictures. We also wanted videos on there that would be illustrative of the things we're talking about. People learn in different ways, and not everyone wants to look at a screen of text to read what they're doing. So having a video there that could also illustrate would be a bonus. We also didn't want something that felt bland and sort of wiki-like, so that's part of the reason we went with bold pictures and videos and things as well. Our initial design, we toyed with the idea of it being sort of escape room based or inspired by escape rooms, so there might be puzzles or other interactive elements in there. But we actually dropped this because we felt that the puzzles and interactivity kind of clashed a little with the clarity and simplicity, almost like you're testing people by having those elements in. So we removed that just so it was without judgment, providing information and just giving people like next steps and more information they can get to. We found that, or we wanted the site to be something that could be used as preparation pre-arrival for students, but also that could be linked by tutors in the VLE, so that as students are, say, having to, say, request a book or start using a journal or things like that, that information can be provided by a tutor, and they can just link to a specific section of our Pathways site. We had a homepage set up with all the different topics on there, so that students could kind of engage them in whichever order they wanted. It would start with something basic and work through, but they can jump into any section at any time that they want. And we went with the theme of adventuring and discovery. We wanted to avoid books and libraries as the theme, because we felt, again, that could add to that feeling of library anxiety. And we felt that it was a more universal experience to kind of have this idea of like exploring together, adventuring. We found it just sort of felt gentler and more engaging to students. I'm going to pass back over to Lisa.
Could we have the next slide? And there's also a video on it, if you wouldn't mind playing it. Okay, well, I'll carry on.
I'm not sure that the video translates to Google Google Slides. Sorry, I can find your.
Don't worry, we'll carry on. We'll put a link in afterwards if anybody wants to watch it. So, as Jane said, we had videos to illustrate things that we were describing, because we had an idea for a while where we would just put text in, and we avoided putting video in, thinking about data that people might be using and things like that. But actually, when we started to put videos in, that students really liked it, and it really became popular. So we tried to keep them quite light-hearted. If you get round to watching this video, it's kind of a little bit silly, but it is about finding a book on a shelf and then borrowing it. It's had thousands of views now. Students have really liked it. In fact, we ran it earlier, and in the last year in total in Pathways, we've had about 5,500 hits on it. So considering we haven't really done that much promotion, students are engaging with it and do seem to be enjoying it. We used the platform of SpringShare for anyone who's using that in their library. So this is just LibGuides basically, with a little bit of CSS to make it how we wanted it to be. We did have a style guide that we stuck with as we went through this. So the language is very simple. It's instructive. We try and have things no longer than a tweet in length. There's a clear way of moving through it, which is why we put the big continue button in. So in the last slide, you saw our big homepage and then 3 examples. But essentially, they all kind of follow the same template and format. So we've tried to keep it so you can move through it if you want to, but actually you can use them all standalone as well. We thought early on that we would not put links into these little bits of text, and we would have a page at the end that would have all the links. But actually, when we started using it, students started using it, it seemed a bit counterintuitive. So there are some instances that I've got links in, or some that have got 2 buttons. So they might have a continue button and then something like our VLE or our library management system or something like that in there as well. We've kept it really light-hearted and friendly. We tried to avoid like sayings and things like that, thinking about international students and what would translate with people with different languages using this as well. We've kind of kept it light and fun, I think. And we do really go right back to the basics of what is a library, talking about the premise of borrowing, using and returning in the same condition. You have to be a member of a library. There's public library information in there as well. The visual style, all of our sections, we've got 9 different sections. They do sort of coordinate together with different colours and themes and things like that. But ultimately, the template is the same and you can kind of move through it however you want. We try to make it as unintimidating as possible. We've started to use it on bookmarks that we produce and some of our FAQs on different parts of the website, just when we're trying to introduce something new, particularly if there's a video in there, it can be a really good way of getting information over. And the groups that we've got, the 9 groups, they do kind of vary in length. So we have got some that are much longer. So I think this one, Borrow, Return, Renew, is one of the longer ones. And Library Help is kind of maybe 3 or 4 long. So it's not consistent in that way, but it is supposed to take someone from something very simple into something a bit more advanced. I'll pass you back to James for the last little bit about the detail of it.
Thank you. Can I have the next slide, please? Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of the detailed pathways. So you can see here, these are the sections we have at the moment. Now, I think as we've discussed it, we kind of feel like Pathways isn't finished. We're going to keep adding to it, and it might never be finished because we want to kind of keep growing it, adding sections to it. We'll have to keep revising them, kind of working through them, checking they're still relevant and just updating them over time. They're designed with a kind of a loose flow, so it will start with very simple, like what is a library? So it literally starts with the very basics, and then going through to how you get started at the library, which will take people through like asking for help, how to join the library, so our students automatically join the library with their student cards. But these are the kind of questions we get at the desk and people are a little embarrassed to ask. So going through these things without any judgment, just starting to explain them. Then it will take students through finding a book, how to borrow, return and renew, explaining what the difference is between our academic librarians and our learning development team, talking about tutorials and things like that. And then videos of how to book a tutorial, why you might want one, what the benefits of having one would be. Our library help section kind of introduces people to our friendly library help team, and in all the sections we tried to use pictures and images that felt kind of friendly and warm. So we've got lots of pictures of like people stood with like a cup of coffee in a jumper and things like that, just to try and sort of really push that idea of like, we're friendly, we're approachable, you know, you don't need to worry, you can come and talk to us. And as I've said, this is like a work in progress. We are working with other teams, so we've worked with the librarians, with the learning development team, to get information on there, and just over time we plan to keep updating it. One of the things we're doing at the moment is going through and removing some of the stock images that we've got and replacing them with images that we've taken ourselves. and creating videos as well. And actually, this has been quite fun for the team to do. There's a lot of creativity there, playfulness in deciding what types of images to have. We've been using a lot of like plush toys and things. So we've got like a plush octopus, borrowing books at the self-service machine, things like that, just to kind of push the kind of gentle aspect, and hopefully make people feel like they can just come and ask us a question. There's not going to be a judgmental space for them. I think that's...
Is that right? So if we could just move on to the last slide. Just to say that we're happy to talk to people about pathways, and if you're a Spring Share user, we have made the templates open for other people to use, and we'll put this link in the chat. It's got our emails on the real page, but we're happy to take any questions that anyone's got.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can see that question come up.
You beat me to it. I'll pick out just in case. So you mentioned looking at some usage data. Have you collected feedback from students on using this pathway?
This is going to be our next stage now. So we are going to be hopefully getting some feedback on it. The way that we've collected the usage stats has been really cold. It has been just collecting when it's been used, and we can see when we have publicised certain bits of this that we haven't done a lot of publicity. It has been the bit that's the section that's ended up being really well used, but we will definitely be moving on to student feedback for sure.
Yeah, and yeah, the second question is also about student feedback. So obviously that's the bit you're gonna do next. So looks great, and I agree with you about videos. Getting in videos, and also I guess adding, as you say, sort of something that's a bit fun or a bit different. You talked initially about gamification of it was like an escape room. So you sort of went against that. Is it something you might consider in other instances to do with bits of the library, or?
James is the gamer.
So we used to do a library tour to students when they started, and we had the idea of replacing that with a sort of an escape room style thing, so that it was more student driven. They quite enjoyed the competition. So we felt, because that worked really well, that was our initial idea of let's do an online version as well. But then as we started doing it, like I said, because our main aim here was tackling the anxiety rather than being an icebreaker, this was to tackle questions that people might have. We felt that by having puzzles and elements that people need to do, that they might feel like they're being tested. And that kind of went against what we wanted, so we removed those from this. We've still got our escape room style induction to the library that people can do, but yeah, we felt with this it was better to have it without the the feeling of being tested in some way.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And someone, Sarah, said, "I love this, such a great idea." So there you are. Yeah, brilliant. Right. Oh, and one final question here. From Susie. She says, in your planning for this, did you find any other approaches used by other libraries focusing on these real basics?
You know what, when we started looking, we could not find anything. We couldn't find any libraries that were tackling that question. What is a library? What do I do? How does this work? I'm completely lost. And so we didn't really have anything to compare it to. There's a lot of libraries that have, how do I book and attend a tutorial? But for some of our students, that's way too far. That's way too advanced for what they need. They need something really pared back. So in answer, Susan, we didn't find anything for a lot of what we did. Some of the more advanced stuff, yes. Some of the basic stuff, we still haven't found something at that really basic level, which for some of our students, it's paying off.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on your students, doesn't it? But you're right. There's these assumptions we make that all students know what a library is and how they should use it, and actually they don't. And so this is really important to try and make.
And the thing is, you won't know they don't know
everybody. Yeah.
And we have students asking how much it costs to borrow a book, things like that. So
yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. Really insightful, lots of great ideas there.